Alright, this is how good this joint is in regards to facilities. So you've got the main ground here. This is the big ground, which is set up purely for cricket. Goalpost pulled down. This massive social club, change rooms, two-storey facility here. Through this little section, which takes you out to the original ground, which it's a small goalpost ground. I split up footy grounds into two categories, I reckon. You've got the high goalpost grounds and small goalpost grounds. This is the small goalpost grounds. I prefer the high goalpost grounds. I mentioned these nets before. They are, they look okay, but geez, they're not very high. So I can only imagine quite a few balls going over the back there. But definitely a small goalpost ground here. G'day guys, welcome to another instalment of Your Town, Your Ground on the My Blue Heaven YouTube page. I've made my way to Melton. For those of you who don't know where Melton is, anyone in Victoria knows where Melton is. It gets a bad rap. I'm not here to critique the town, but it is 40 k's west of Melbourne, and it's right on the outskirts. It's sort of half suburbia, half regional. Although it is considered a suburb, there is large parts of it which is like farming area. It's a huge place. Like it is massive. It hasn't got the greatest reputation being in the western suburbs. In fact, it's got a really poor reputation. I'm not here to, as I said, critique Melton. So far so good. I've had a coffee. I'm just in the main street here. It's relatively quiet. But I'm here to look at the two main football clubs in this town. There are three clubs in Melton, but the two main clubs are the Melton Bloods and the Melton South Panthers, who are both in the really strong Ballarat Football League, and they have been since 1997. Now, the Melton Bloods, okay, they've been around forever. Previous to the Ballarat Football League, they were in the Riddle District Football League. The same with Melton South, although they only came into existence in the early 1970s. So these two clubs, I want to compare them. I want to compare their grounds. I want to compare their history, I suppose, and their success, because it just appears to me like in this town, when you've got two relatively big clubs, that one can be so strong and so powerful, and the other one is just like really weak and hasn't really had much success at all. So I want to travel to the grounds, have a look at the facilities, have a chat about to the clubs. So let's get to it. We're in Melton, the Melton Bloods and the Melton South Panthers. Okay, Melton Recreation Reserve, the home of the Melton South Football Club, and I assume netball club as well, the Panthers. My first impression of their ground is I don't mind it. The surface, and I'm walking around here in bare feet because the actual surface is just luscious, nice and smooth, great, no potholes. It's a turf wicket in the middle, so it's also the home of the Melton Royals Cricket Club. So they play cricket here during the summer, so it's in pristine condition this time of year. Not quite sure how it would hold up in the winter. I assume it'd be okay. Probably got pretty good drainage. Surrounds, if you look around this side of the ground, it's pretty bleak. A lot of industrial type arrangement here in Melton. But on this side of the ground, not too bad. You've got brand new facilities, brand new club rooms, which I must admit, they'd be pretty bloody flash inside. But from the outside, I don't know, it looks a bit like one of those new sort of modern churches, if I'm brutally honest. But you do have, I think, a creek. Maybe is it a Melton Creek? Surrounded by quite nice trees here. I don't think this ground would be hugely impacted by the wind. It's not a really windy day today. There's a breeze blowing. What I really like is these interchange areas, these boxes. They've got two of them. So they've got one for obviously the home team, and they've got the interchange for the away team, plus the coach's box, elevated coach's box, which is a good touch. Got nets behind both goals. Electronic scoreboard, which most grounds do have now. You've got the Melton Country Club about 50 metres away. So if the Panthers are struggling at half time, you just whip across to the Country Club for a pot and maybe a punt. I do like this. They've only won the one flag in their existence. They're 53 years old. The Melton South Football Club. They've been in the Ballarat Footy League since 1997. They haven't won a flag, but they've won the one flag. That was in the Riddle and District Football League. And it looks like they've got set up a past players sort of shelter over here with the home of the Panthers sign, and also a homage to their one and only premiership in 1994. And they've listed the coach and every player who actually played in that premiership, which is a nice touch. Anyway, yeah, I like it. I just think the surface alone makes this ground pretty bloody appealing to play on, whether you are part of the Melton South Football Club or whether you're an opposition player coming to this ground for the first time, or any time, in fact, because one thing you want when you come to a ground is a really nice surface. Yeah, not bad at all. Okay, what can we say about the Melton South Football Club? Well, they are battlers, real battlers. Well, they have been for the last couple of years anyway, which I looked through their results, and they haven't won a game in 2 seasons. In fact, those winless seasons have accumulated into percentages of, in 2024, they had a percentage of 21.25, and in 2023 they had a percentage of 15.47 and have not won a game. So that is a real struggle street for the Melton South Football Club. They were quite a young club, didn't come into existence until around about 1973. Were originally in the Riddle and District Football League, and then with Melton and a couple of other teams, including Sunbury and Darley, went into the really strong Ballarat Footy League in 1997. Where they've really struggled, They have not won a flag. I don't think they've played finals, and it's just been a constant battle for them. Interesting fact, in 2016, Brendan Favola came here to be captain coach, or coach the team. I'm not quite sure if he was captain, but they've really battled on field. Off field, not quite sure how strong they are off field, but when you are struggling to win games of football, it must be not a particularly strong selling point to get players to actually come to this football club. Players that have actually come through as juniors and gone on to play VFL/AFL football. Sean Denham, the tagger from Essendon, real little hard nut, played some football at Geelong as well, played 186 games. He was from Melton South. A big Paul Chambers, who played 44 games at both Geelong and Sydney, and also Ben Haynes played a total of 26 games for both Richmond and Essendon in the early 2000s. This is the Melton South Football Club, perennial battlers in the Ballarat Football League, the younger sibling of the more powerful and I suppose more successful Melton Football Club. All right, this is how close they are to the Melton Country Club. There's only one ground here at Melton South. This is the back of the new club rooms. Now, I am 100% sure that when the seniors are warming up and the reserves are on, that they'd come out to this patch of grass here out the back, which is about the size of maybe a hockey field. Looks to be in reasonable nick in regards to the surface. I feel like this is where both the home team, the Melton South Panthers, and also the opposition team will probably come and warm up before the game. This is on the outer side of the ground, away from the club rooms. Not quite sure what you call these, but I've seen these at other football grounds as well. I think it's got something to do with the firefighters, and they do like drills or something here. I know Werribee Central's football ground has one as well. Well, it's not part of the football ground, but yeah. Oh, there you go, if only I'd look first. So it is the Melton Fire Brigade SJ Hurt Training and Competition Track, officially opened in 1990. Finally, Melton Recreation Reserve is very central in Melton. It's only probably 500 metres from the main town centre. And it feels like, just given that side of the ground, okay, where the creek is, that is older part of Melton as well. So it's a pretty good bloody location in regards to playing football. Rightio, I've made the 10 to 15 minute trip to McPherson Park in Melton. This is the home of the Melton Bloods. They are a very, very old football club established in 1879. Now, I'm not quite sure if they've always been here at this facility. Now, this is mind-blowing how big this joint is. The last time I was here, and it was in the early 90s when I played a practice game against Melton, and there was only one football ground here. Now there's, I don't know, it feels like there's around about 4 or 5 ovals here, plus a soccer field as well. This is a huge place. Now, I'm trying to get my head around, this is a new oval. What I'm standing on at the moment is amazing. This is a huge ground and a big oval with an exceptional surface. But this hasn't always been here. In fact, I reckon this ground and that facility there, which we can see, which looks amazing, balcony, change rooms, brilliant. This is relatively new. Because next door, and I'll take you there shortly, is Melton's old ground where they've played for many, many years, and that's the ground I remember. First impressions, as always, it's a bit of a trip out here. It's out sort of in the country, a lot of sort of farming areas around here. It's a bit of a drive and just windswept. Like this would get bloody windy. But this ground itself is surface-wise unbelievable. Only a small electronic scoreboard. When you spend that much money on a facility like this, you would think they'd probably have a better scoreboard. I know this ground has been used for a Coates Talent League game in 2024. The Western Jets played the Oakley Chargers out here mid-year. But this is sort of AFL quality standard ground. And the Melton Football Club, they are a powerhouse. They are such a strong club. They won the flag in 2024. They've been in the Ballarat Football League since 1997 and one of the stronger teams in that competition. This is an amazing place to come to, although I could slight concerns on how windy this joint does actually get out here because there's not a lot of coverage. Okay, what can I tell you about the Melton Football Club, the Bloods, out here at McPherson Park? Now, they are, between them and Melton South, they are the kings. They're the big brothers. I mean, they've been around since 1879, so they're a hell of a lot older compared to Mountain South 1973. But you can't dispute how much success this football club. It just appears to me that they never really spend a hell of a lot of time either down the bottom of the ladder or mid-table. They're coming off I think, what I understand, a season where they weren't defeated at all and ended up winning the Ballarat Football League Grand Final last year. In fact, they've won 2 out of the last 3 Grand Finals in the Ballarat Football League. All in all, like Melton South, they came into the Ballarat Football League in 1997 with Darley and also Sunbury. And in that time, they've been pretty bloody successful, won 5 premierships. And before that, they were in the Riddle and District Football League, where I think they'd won something like 15 premierships. They've had a number of sort of AFL players start their careers here, either, as juniors into the under-18s, played senior football and then went on to either the VFL or AFL. I'll just run through a few. Mark Hunter, he is the father of the Western Bulldogs and then Melbourne's Lockie Hunter, 2016 Premiership player. Well, his old man could play as well. He came through the junior ranks here and played in a senior premiership at Melton before he was recruited to Footscray in the late 80s and 90s. Chris Osps played 17 games for the Hawthorn Football Club between 1998 and 2001. Tyson Lane played here at Melton, 61 games for both Footscray and Collingwood in the 90s. Aaron James, who was a prodigious talent, he really was, only ended up playing 54 games of league football for Collingwood, Richmond and Footscray, but was a star in local football, particularly in Gisborne. He played 50-odd games. And Jake the Snake Edwards played 5 games for the Carlton Football Club. They're just some of the names that have made their way through this really, really strong football club here at this facility, which I'll just repeat, like when you drive here, feels like it's in the middle of nowhere, but you get here and it's just massive. Like there are grounds everywhere. And to have 2 like AFL standard grounds for a local football team in a country football association such as the Ballarat Football League, it's pretty bloody impressive. Okay, they've got these tiles with feels like life members or former players here, which lines the front entrance of the new pavilion. Mark Cullen. Now I reckon he may have played football at the Footscray Football Club, Mark Cullen, and definitely played in a premiership at Werribee in the VFL. In fact, 1993 he was a premiership player. He obviously played here after his career finished. The Button family, Andrew Button is another premiership player for Werribee in the VFA in 1983. And there's another former Werribee player, Dallas Normington. It's a blast from the past. I reckon he may have coached Melton to some premierships back when they were in maybe in the Riddle District League or the early days when they came into the Ballarat Football League.